Beloved saints, good day. It's another day that we are alive, and so we have to give God thanks. But who could ever imagine? For those who love basketball, there's no NBA. For football lovers, no English League, no Serie A. Track lovers, no boys and girls champs, nobody coming from abroad for that. There's no Diamond League and there might be no Olympics. And think of it, no work tomorrow, no church, and it's not a hurricane or a flood, no Easter convention. Wow. And then when we look at what is happening in Italy, there are hundreds of deaths per day. We heard 200, 300, 400 for the day. And the world stock market's losing 25% of its value in one day. What really is happening? Wagwan, we have been surely coronarized. But that's not the word I want to leave with you today. I want to leave with you the Latin phrase Deo Volente. Do you know it? Like when I was getting married and you made the invitation and you set the date, you put beside it DV, meaning Deo Volente. Deo Volente, God's willing. You remember the Jamaican phrase, man a plan, God a wipe out? Well, that seems to be what is happening now. It's like you have a whiteboard. You are writing on it, and God is erasing what is written and what is planned on it. We need to remember, therefore, brethren, firstly, that it's God's will while we are in the land of the living. It is Deo Volente. Our very being is dependent on God. The Apostle Paul, in expounding on the will of God in Acts 17, verse 28, stated, in him we live and move and have our being. It is God's will why we are alive. Secondly, God's will must be done. You remember that prayer the Lord taught his disciples in Matthew chapter 6, verse 10, it states, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Therefore, we must recognize that it's God's will that must be done on earth. And thirdly, we must recognize that we live worthless lives if we are storing up our treasure on earth. Matthew 6:19 to 21 tells us, Do not store up for yourself treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. Verse 20, But store up for ourselves treasures in heaven where moth and rust do not destroy or where thieves do not break in and steal. And might I add, that coronavirus will not cause it to lose its value. Verse 21 of Matthew 6 states, For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Fourthly, I want us to recognize that we live worthless lives if our plans do not recognize that all is dependent on God's will. All is Deo Volente. Whatever our plans are, at the end we must say DV. James 4, verse 13 to 16 states, Come now, you who say today or tomorrow, we will go to such and such a city, spend a year there, buy and sell, make a profit. Verse 14, whereas you do not know what will happen tomorrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanishes away. Instead, you ought to say, verse 15, Deo Volente. If the Lord's will, we shall live and do this or that. But now you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. I am reminded constantly when I look at the papers, when I read the news, when I get things on my WhatsApp, that all that is happening is out of the control of man. He's trying to take action, but in everything that is happening, there is at the end a DV, God's willing. So, therefore, brethren, whatever we are doing from now on, let's say DV. I am going down the road, DV. Next week, I'll be going to the United States, DV. Whatever it is, DV. Deo Volente. Let's practice that. Whatever it is we are involved in, at the end of it all, we say DV. It will keep our hearts and our minds in the right perspective. Thank you.